Hey Alex, Hannah.
Oh, hey guys, I'm Hannah.
I'm Min.
And I'm Alex.
And we're doing a report on the Western expansion and the music that goes along with it.
Like at railroads.
And Gold Rush.
And the Cowboys. The Western expansion happened right after the Civil War in the mid-1800s, and it was a time where many people were traveling out west. And since so many people were traveling out there, like ranchers and miners, and they needed a way to get there, so they went on the railroads.
The railroad, yeah.
And since there were so many people out there on the ranches, they needed cowboys. And,
The gold rush fits in there too, because people took the railroads to get to the gold rush.
Exactly.
So just watch our video and find out more. Alright. Bye.
Hey, great-great-great-grandpa, what do you know about the railroads?
Well, it all began in Baltimore, Alex. Railroad songs were being written before the first railroads were ever being constructed. On Independence Day in 1828, in the city of Baltimore, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Company was preparing to become the first public railway carrier to be put in regular service. The Carrollton March, the song especially written for this occasion, was written by Arthur Clifton and expressed the joy the citizens of Baltimore had for the momentous occasion. Just 2 days later, Railroad March was copyrighted by Charles Meineke and dedicated to the directors of the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Company. However, railroads weren't being just built in Baltimore, and Arthur Clifton and Charles Meineke were not the only songwriters in the nation. I.P. Wind, Theodore LaHash, and James N. Beck got to writing. Soon enough, songs such as Syracuse Railroad Quickstep, New Orleans and Great Western Railroad Polka, and Fast Line Gallop were being written to commemorate the tracks of Syracuse, New Orleans, and Pennsylvania, respectively. Everyone in the nation was swept up in the marvelous construction of the railroads and the numerous benefits it brought. Others writing songs at the time also consisted of the people working on the railroads and people who wanted a significant event to be remembered. While the author can't be definitively selected, the song Jerry Go Oil That Car was most likely written by an Irish railroader and certainly sung by them, a contribution by the Irish to American railroad music. Parson Robinson, a Kansas-born songwriter, wrote The Wreck of 1256 to make sure people would remember the tragic death of those on the locomotive that ran off the tracks and flipped into a river, killing most of the occupants. In the early 19th century of America, railroads were being constructed to accommodate the growing number of cross-country travelers. Some were merely frontiersmen, headed towards the west for the thrill of adventures in the wilderness. Others were young families, headed out in search of a better place than the bustle of the city to raise their kids. Others still were delusional souls hoping to get rich in the opportunity of the gold rush, or individuals trying to escape their haunting past. From the people, regardless of class and regardless of how the railroad affected them, came to exist many folk songs regarding the railroad. Within these groups of people, these everyday citizens of America, sprang up authors of songs who wrote to describe their experience with the railroads, whether it caused them pain, sadness, happiness, or any other emotion. With such a diverse group of people writing songs about the railroads, there were bound to be a wide range of topics to be sung in relation to them. For instance, conductors or others who worked on a train might pen a song about a wonderful event like speeding past the beautiful countryside. However, there were also many songs written about the tragic event of a train wreck. From women, there were songs describing how the railroads affected their lives, perhaps by bringing the love of their life into town, or taking away their man to the call of the West. There were also songs written about the life of traveling hobos, hiding on the trains to avoid paying fees while making their way across great distances. In addition to these, there were also songs detailing the exploits of various famous train robbers, making sure that they would not be soon forgotten. Of course, with so many songs being written at this time, one must wonder who was doing the songwriting.
Hey guys, do you want to hear a joke?
I'm actually more focused on Tom Cruise's life right now, Alex.
Anyways, what do you call a piano that falls down a mine shaft?
I don't know, broken?
A-flat minor.
What are you talking about?
As in mining, like the gold rush, which started in 1848 at Sutter's Mill. John Sutter, a 19th century pioneer, had his business partner, James Marshall, over at his mill on January 24, 1848, when Marshall discovered gold. At first, the two wanted to keep the gold a secret. However, the word got out, and the gold rush began. The gold rush brought thousands of people to California. Some of them promised their families that they would only be gone for a year in order to make their fortune. However, this rarely happened. Because thousands of people rushed to California, boom towns started to pop up. A boom town is an area that receives rapid population and economic growth. One of the most famous boom towns is San Francisco, which many authors, for instance Mark Twain, encouraged for, especially after the Civil War. The gold rush brought prosperity to California, which eventually contributed to California joining the Union. People came from all over to find gold. Men abandoned their jobs, family, and home just to take the chance that they would strike big. People even started to come over from Europe to make fortune. Most of them did not find fortune and starved. To ease the pain, the miners would create songs to pass the time or to unite one another. A famous composer of the time was Stephen Foster. Stephen Foster was born a twin on July 4, 1826, and in his early life learned music from a German immigrant. He published a record called Hard Times Come Again No More, which was a reflection of the past, present, and things to come. Foster's famous song, which would become the Gold Rush anthem, is O Susanna. The songs used in the Gold Rush brought unity to each other and was a motive for encouragement while the miners worked. Romantic themes occurred throughout the gold rush. The men, after mining all day and most likely finding nothing, would gather and talk through their hardships. Because of this hardship, people came together for support, and this increased nationalism. This unified everyone because it did not matter what state or country they had come from. They all had to work through the hardships to find the gold. Because music is a form to express a feeling, songs were written about the feelings of nationalism.
Hey guys, what game are you playing?
Go fish.
Speaking of fish, did you know that cowboy was a term used to describe the men who rounded up cattle and drove them across the different regions of the United States?
No.
Well, they were. They led cattle drives and rounded cattle up so that ranchers have a way of keeping their cattle together. Cowboys of the 19th century tended to live across the Midwest of the United States and lived on ranches throughout the plains. There were generally two types of American cowboy tradition, the Texas tradition and the California or Spanish tradition. Cowboys ranged from war veterans, immigrants who recently learned how to ride, Native Americans, and even African Americans. The cowboys of the 19th century became national figures and symbols through their clothing, attitude, and music. Cowboy music, as it has come to be known as, is described as being a type of folk song that describes the life of the cowboy. This type of music would later be called country music. The music is described as being a celebration of life on the open range and the life that comes with it. It is influenced by the Old English, Scottish, and Irish folk ballads as well as Mexican music. Although this cowboy music was not popular across the nation until about 1910 when John Lomax published cowboy songs and other frontier ballads, it was widely sung across the mid and southwest of the United States during the 19th century. Very few cowboy songs can be traced back to the early 19th century, but there are many throughout the 1800s. Some include tales of the heroes of the West, like Jesse James, who was an American outlaw, shot in 1882. Other songs are written about love and the women that the cowboys fell in love with while traveling. The songs Lily of the Valley and Cowboy Jack are written about lost loves, loves that they will one day find. The song The Streets of Laredo, Day Unknown, was written about a cowboy who had died after being shot. The song describes the cowboy's wishes for what happens after he dies and how he wished to be buried. Many other songs sing of the triumphs of the American cowboy and the accomplishments. Cowboy music was created to tell stories and to entertain. The 19th century was a part of the Romantic era and can be described as being a time of self-reliance and nationalism. Artists use their songs to create a cultural identity and find similarities with the people of their time. Many songs throughout the Romantic era were used to tell a story, and that holds true for the songs of the cowboys as well. Their songs were stories put to melodies and can be described as an important part of the Romantic era.
Thanks for watching, everyone.